Did get another email question. This one comes from Marie. If we could put Marie's email up, we'll go ahead and read it. Okay. 4 of us were riding bikes and a dog bolted from its yard and ran onto the street in front of us. My husband braked to avoid the dog and the rest of us swerved in different directions and ran into each other. I have a broken finger and my bike has about $600 damage. The dog owner says she shouldn't have to pay anything. Any ideas? And that's from Marie. Marie, yeah, I've got some ideas. Brian, do you have any ideas about what Marie can be done? What Marie can do?
Well, I just handled not exactly this case, but basically an unrestrained animal caused an injury to a person. So in Bay County specifically, and I'm sure there are very similar ordinances around in the other counties, but pet owners are required to have their pets on leashes, and if they don't, they can be held responsible. Now, I know if a dog causes injury through a physical attack, a scratch, a bite, or anything like that, the owner is responsible. The owner doesn't have to do anything wrong. In this situation, the owner is letting the dog either roam free, left the gate unlocked, basically let the dog out and created, it sounds almost like a 4-car collision, but with bicycles. And again, $600 is pretty significant, but also breaking a finger depends on the finger, but if you had to go get evaluated and x-rays and things, again, step number 1 is getting in touch with the dog owner's insurance company. I would say the thing I tell all of my clients when an animal injures somebody is there is probably coverage, homeowners coverage that will provide coverage for these incidents, but a lot of times there are exclusions for animals unless the homeowner informed their agent, hey, I do have a dog, I want it to be covered in the event this dog injures somebody. It's one of the questionnaires whenever you fill out your homeowner's application to get insurance. The problem arises when somebody purchases a house, gets insurance, and then 5 years later gets a dog and doesn't tell their agent. So the big problem on these cases is making sure there is coverage without an exclusion, but it sounds like the homeowner was in the wrong here by letting their dog, run around. That caused this 4 or 5 car bike pileup where there was property damage and then somebody was injured.
Right, and talking about dog owners, Florida is what we call a strict liability state when it comes to dog bites and dog injuries, meaning that if you own the dog and that dog causes an injury, it bites somebody, it scratches someone, it knocks them off their bike and they're injured, that owner is liable. Whether that owner meant to do it or not, whether the dog was friendly and just being playful or not, it doesn't matter. If a dog injures you, if a dog bites you, then the owner is responsible. Strict liability. There is no defense to it. Now, there could be some arguments of comparative negligence because Florida is a comparative negligence state. What that means is, a jury, if you were to try the case, a jury could decide that, well, this dog owner is responsible, but you stuck your hand through a gate or you did something, you trespassed, you came onto the land. Not the case here, but if you were to do something that you weren't supposed to do, then you could get hit with a little bit of liability, but otherwise the dog owner is going to be responsible for everything and all the damages that flow from it. So, Marie, in your case, you've got a broken finger, you're going to have medical expenses. If you had to have surgery, you're going to have those bills. You're going to have recovery, physical therapy, occupational therapy when you're dealing with broken hands, broken fingers. That's going to be a requirement. And all of those things cost money. You've got a bike that is damaged by $600. That is going to cost money to fix, and the dog owner is going to be responsible for that. Now, for the dog owners out there, and I'm a dog owner. I've got 2 labs at home, and you better believe I had to let my insurance company know about it. And I made sure when I talked to my agent, I said, look, I've got 2 dogs. They're as sweet as they can be, but they bark like crazy. You'll think you're going to be attacked. But they're really sweet dogs. But I want to make sure if they bite somebody, if they're being too playful, if they do something wrong, I want to make sure that I'm covered. So I made sure that my policy does cover that. A lot of insurance companies, because of Florida's strict liability position, a lot of insurance companies have gone to these waivers. We talked about waivers at the beginning of the show, where they will completely, or an exclusion, they'll exclude dog bites altogether. Or they'll say, we only cover certain types of things. We don't cover, we don't cover dog bites, but we'll, if the dog damages something or damages some property, we'll do that. There may be all sorts of restrictions, so you have to get a lawyer to look at the policy to see what does and does not apply. But if you're a dog owner out there, you might want to make sure that you're covered, because if you're not covered, that doesn't mean the claim goes away. What that means is the person is likely going to end up filing a lawsuit, and they're going to take you to court, and if you get a judgment against you, you're going to have to pay that money out of your pocket personally. If you don't have the money, The lawyer that is representing the injured party can take actions if they get a judgment. They can take actions to garnish wages. They can take actions to, to forfeit the possession of some property that can be sold to satisfy the judgment. And so don't think that, well, I'm just not going to get insurance and that way it'll just go away. That's really not the case. And there's been cases in the past that we've had to go and hold people personally accountable by getting them to pay money out of their own pocket because they chose not to have insurance or they chose to let their insurance lapse. So make sure your policies are paid up, make sure everything's up to date, and make sure if you have certain types of risks like dogs, like certain types of vehicles, motorcycles, jet skis, make sure those risks are properly insured because if the unfortunate does happen, you're going to want to make sure you have coverage.